Listen carefully.
He almost wants to sit. Next, we're going to give him his front legs, which will give him a little bit of support to stand up. So if you don't want a cat to sit like this one or an animal to sit like this one, you can attach all four legs in this direction. Make sure my stuffing is in there and do the first stitch to close that up. And I'm gonna have to look at what angle I want that to be in. So that's enough that it will help him stand up. So this is more like the ear stitching than the back leg stitching, where we're gonna go into the animal's body and through both layers of the opening of the leg. And you're going to go back through the body and through the leg. And try not to tangle the back leg. So I just checked there because I wasn't sure I got through both layers of the leg, but I did. But this next stitch I'm gonna make close to that one again just because I wasn't real confident in that stitch. And I don't want my stuffing to escape. So now he's sitting pretty good. So now we're gonna do the last leg, which begins, of course, with the stuffing of the leg. Sometimes kids have a hard time getting all the stuffing in there, and a pencil helps because the eraser is grippy and they can shove it all down in there. So after I have my stuffing in, again I thread my needle, which is being persnickety, and I'm going to do my first stitch closing the leg. So now I need to figure out how did I have this guy and how am I gonna make them match? So this one starts a little below the stripe. So I'm gonna have this one start a little below the stripe. And after my first stitch, I might sit him down to see if that is about where I want them to go together. That looks okay to me. So I'm going to go back in the animal body and through both layers of the leg. Okay, so we've got that final knot. I'm going to go in the animal and out. Pull it tight. Okay, so now I have a tailless kitty. Some may call it a Manx. So our last steps are the tail and his face. So the tail is where the pencil is going to come in handy. Depending on how sturdy, how much support you want from your tail, depends on how much stuffing you're going to put in it. And do you want your tail to go up or the tail to go down? I want my tail to go up. So I'm just going to put a little bit of stuffing, which this looks like a lot, but it's, as we can see, it gets really compact very fast. So we're going to put that in there, and I'm going to use the pencil to try and shove this down in there. So that's pretty bumpy. And a good way to get rid of that bump is to hold the tail or leg or tentacle or arm or whatever part of the animal your student is making and have them roll it like they would roll some clay. And that sort of flattens it out a little bit. I need just a little more in there. And again, this might be a little bit bumpy because we're working with a very fine, skinny tail. And you kind of just have to roughhouse with it and manipulate the stuffing to go where you want it to go. Okay, so here's my tail. Is that too far back? I'm going to thread my needle, and just like the legs, I'm going to start with my first stitch on the tail. And I'm thinking he should go along this purple stripe. So his purple tail is going to come out of the purple stripe. And like the ears, I'm going to stitch it on both sides so that it goes kind of straight out instead of off to one side. But I'm stitching through the body and both layers of fabric of the tail. Careful not to grab an arm and an ear with that one. So now that I'm at the end, his tail is off to one side, which kind of happened with the ears as well. So now I'm going to flip and do this again, where I'm going through the cat's body and through the tail to give it a little more balance so that it's going straight out. Sometimes it can be a little hard to push through, and this is where your students might need you to help hold their animals stable. I'm stuck. So I'm gonna come right back out. I'm not sure, I think I was trying to go through too many things there. So I'm coming back out, going through the body and through the tail. I think I was just trying to get through lots of stitches in one spot. And I'm gonna give this one last go. I'm gonna give this guy some reinforcing stitches at the top of his tail, because sometimes kids like to pull tails. I've got one knot and a second knot. And again, I'm going in and out, pulling it. So now we have our kitty cat who sits with his tail.